Hi there, we will now read lesson 191. I am the Holy Son of God Himself. I am the Holy Daughter of God Himself. I am the Holy Child of God herself. It really does not matter if we call ourselves son or daughter or child, but we all belong to God, and God is energy. So whether we call it father, whether we call it mother, whether it's masculine or feminine, our preference on how to connect with God, it does not matter, because at the end of the day, we are God itself expressing as a son or daughter. All right, paragraph 1. Here is your declaration of release from bondage to the world. When we know that we belong to God, because God is what is expressing through and as us, we are completely freed from the world's bondage, because we have set ourselves in the correct place of where authority lies. And when we belong to God, and God is the source that activates all of our knowingness, informs us that all of our decisions are based on God, what would you have me do? The world can no longer have power over us, because our allegiance is now aligned with God. And that's what allegiance is. We become aligned with listening only to the voice for God that speaks to us. And when we align with that, we move in concert with God. That's what makes life fun and easy. That's what allows us to flow and experience synchronicity. So let's keep reading. Sentence number 2 in paragraph 1. And here as well is all the world released, because now we know we're not in charge of the world, because the whole world belongs to God as well. Because if I belong to God as the son or daughter of God, the creator, so do you, so does everybody else. So not only do I release the world from me being in charge of it, I release it from it having any power over me, because we're all equal. It equalizes everybody. Sentence number 3. You do not see what you have done by giving the world the role of jailer to the Son of God. What could it be but vicious and afraid, fearful in shadows, punitive and wild, lacking all reason, wild, insane with hate? What could it be but that? Because the world is a projection from the ego perspective that sees the world as having power over us. The job has power over us. The government has power over us. The boss has power over us. The money has power over us. Our partner has power over us. Illnesses are going to come and get us. Weather is going to come and destroy our homes. We have given the world power because we don't know that not only is God in charge of everything, because God created truly everything that we see, but we have overlaid our perspectives of authority over it. And when we think that the world has authority over us, it's because we've given it that authority, which means we have usurped the power of God and given something outside of us power over what is really truly powerful within us. So this is really amazing. So what could it be? Of course, it's going to be afraid and fearful and shadowy and punitive and wild, because we've given it power to do that. Paragraph 2. What have you done that this should be your world? What have you done that this is what you see? Deny your own identity, and this is what remains. So when we deny our identity as the son, daughter of God, we create a world. We create a world by projecting out there, you have power over me, which means I've given you power over me, because God did not give anything power over its sons and daughters. God created its sons and daughters powerful to create like God by extending love. So when we don't create like God by extending love, we create blocks to love, and we set up institutions that allow us to hide ourselves inside of the illusion that we're separate from God. We create that our education is what makes us intelligent, that the medical establishment is what heals us, that the government is what protects us and keeps us safe and tells us what to do. So we have created all of these things out there, projected onto them power, which denies our identity as the sons and daughters of God. And then we put everybody in hierarchical categories. There's those who really have power and those who don't have power, and then we put ourselves somewhere in the middle. And that totally denies our ability to communicate with God so God can tell us what to do. So we're waking up from the illusion, recognizing nothing outside of us has power. What is powerful is already within us. We're coming inside, shifting our perception, and beginning to look at the world so we can create a happy dream. So when the world no longer has power, now I'm not its slave. It cannot jail me. It cannot confine me. If the job goes, oh well. I trust that God has something else planned for me to participate in as his son or daughter. If there is an illness, I don't go out to the medical establishment to heal me. I look at where am I disconnected from God, that I'm not receiving the wellness that is the only stream of energy that God has created. God is pure wellness, pure health. So I begin to use the things out there, the job, the relationship, the medical institutions. I begin to use it as I'm playing the game of being human, not because it has power over me, but because I have recognized that it can only have power over me if I give it to it. So if I'm going to give power to the job to make me happy and give me money, I need to do it consciously aware that God gave me power because I am the daughter of God. And I have the power to project a job that I can go to. Am I loving this job? Am I enjoying what I'm doing? Can I express myself through this job? If I am, I'm going to exchange my love of things with money that's going to come to me. Not because the job has the power over me, but because I've given it power to play the game of boss and employee and customers. I've given it power because it's what God has inspired me to do. This is really critical that we understand this, because this is the only way that we truly are released from bondage, giving the world power to keep us in bondage, and us understanding how we are the ones who put ourselves in that bondage by the misuse of our power. All right, you look, sentence number 4 in paragraph 2. You look on chaos, the world out there that changes, and proclaim it is yourself. You look on chaos and proclaim it is yourself. Oh yeah, look at what happened to me. I am sick, or I am fired, or I am angry, or I am whatever. I'm at the mercy of the government. There is no sight that fails to witness this to you. Absolutely, because it's what I'm looking on, because I want to make it true. There is no sound that does not speak of frailty within you and without. No breath you draw that does not seem to bring you nearer to death. No hope you hold excuse me. No hope you hold but will dissolve in tears, because the world is destined, as it is projected out there by the ego, to always disappoint us, because the ego is a system of chasing to become something. So as we give the job, the government, the medical institution power to give us what God already gave us, as we give it power to give us what is already inside of us, we deny what is here. As we deny what is here, those things out there will never let us feel our complete wholeness, because those things out there have been set up so that we chase them to receive our wholeness. We've got to get the career to become somebody successful. We got to get the money to be somebody, to have a sense of worth based on our net worth. So once we give those things out there power, it's because we're denying the power is here. That means in the denial of the power fully here, we got to chase it out there. That's why the world will always leave us exhausted, closer to death, because we'll never be able to get it done. And it's always going to leave us in tears, because we're always going to be disappointed. This is why people who want power never get enough power. People who want money never get enough money. How many billions and trillions of dollars does one person have to feel complete? How much money does one corporation need to have to feel complete? So as we begin to understand that the world only has power because we, as the sons and daughters of God, are using our power to project, that power comes to us from the outside, we will always be chasing it, and we will always end up in tears, because we'll never be able to get it from the outside. Paragraph 3, deny your own identity and you will not escape the madness which induces this weird, unnatural, and ghostly thought that mocks creation and that laughs at God. So as we're out there chasing things to make us happy, we're literally mocking God who gave us happiness as our purpose. We're not activating the happiness that is here because we can't activate our joy when we are blocking ourselves from it with the thought that it's not here. It comes to me from out there. Sentence number 2 in paragraph 3. Deny your own identity and you assail the universe alone. Without a friend, a tiny particle of dust against the legions of your enemies. So when we deny our identity as the son and daughters of God, we absolutely not only mock God, and you know what? We got to forgive ourselves for having done that because we learned to do that. Everybody else did it. It's what our parents did. They chased what was outside of them, and they taught us to chase for our wholeness outside of us and our happiness, and that has totally left us traveling this world all alone, afraid, a tiny particle of dust against the legions of our enemies. Everybody that is applying for the job is our enemy. Everybody that is looking for a mate becomes a potential enemy to us finding our mate. Everybody that has an appointment with a doctor is an enemy because they're keeping us from getting to the doctor. It's really an amazing thing. Deny your own identity and look on evil, sin and death, and watch despair snatch from your fingers every scrap of hope, leaving you nothing but the wish to die. Look at how many people are so depressed, especially when you knew them as children and you knew them as happy beings. You can watch the progression by which they little by little begin to have the light of them dim down so low that they end up in total despair. Despair, of course, moves them to depression because they have suppressed the truth of who they are. They've pressed their essence or light so far down that they don't even know it's there. They can barely feel the flicker of it. Why? Because we have forgotten that we are the sons and daughters of God here to extend love, to extend our happy self, to extend our abundant self, to extend our whole healthy self. And instead, we have fallen under the illusion for thousands of years. Mass consciousness agrees that all of these things are outside of us. Those of us who begin to unplug from that are looked upon as crazy. What? You mean? What do you mean? Like when I divorced Ken, I don't want you to give me your money. I don't want you to give me anything because I don't need it from you. I will do what inspires me by God, and that will be my source of income. I'll exchange that. Giving and receiving are one. I don't want you, Ken, to think that you are my source. I don't want that to happen. I don't want myself to believe that money gives me safety. I was trapped in that illusion and I suffered greatly because I was constantly trying to prove that I wasn't trying to take somebody's money, that to them made them feel their sense of worth, their sense of self-worth was tied to their money. Every time I used a little bit of it, even if it was a minuscule fraction, it felt like a loss to them. That meant they were losing their self-worth because it was attached to their net worth. That set up a dynamic that created so much tension that finally I had to release myself from that prison. I had to release myself from the bondage that Ken or money in the world is what gave me my power, because I had to reclaim that it came from within me, where God placed it. Paragraph 4. Yet what is it except a game you play in which identity can be denied? So we're playing a game. We're playing a divine game of hide and seek. We have hidden our power, our happiness, our worth, our joy, our peace. We've hidden it inside of all of these things, which is what the ego does. It believes that it is out there, hidden out there, and we're chasing it. So this journey, in a way, is the reverse of that. It's a game of divine hide and seek. We have hidden the truth inside of us because we have denied that it is here. So the journey of spiritual awakening is a seeking for what we hid inside of us. We pretended we didn't have what we really are as sons and daughters of God, and then we played the reverse game of seeking for it outside of us. So we got to look where the truth is hidden, and it's inside of us. But we cannot experience it inside of us until we acknowledge that the voice for God that speaks of the truth is within us. So paragraph 4, let me read this again. Yet what is it except a game you play in which identity can be denied. It's a game. We're playing the game. That's why when we have the death experience, we return to the source of all that is and go, "Ooh, how fun. Let me go back down there and play this game again." So as we have the death experience, we exit stage left, or you can say you get off the merry-go-round, or you exit the adventure, the amusement part called life. You exit, you return to the truth of who you are, you remember what you are, your light gets back up, and then you come in at the level of consciousness that you left at to continue playing the game, so that until we get to the place that we come back and seek for the truth where it is, which is the choice that we're making to no longer deny that it is within, by us beginning to deny that it is in the world out there. Why? Because the world out there is only a form of bondage. The ego has us believing will save us, but it's a trap. So we need to see that we've created a trap. Nobody makes us do that. We agree to it. Yes, we learned it from others, but the spiritual journey is a journey of awakening to the truth is otherwise. When you become conscious of the truth, and it's your responsibility, as it was mine, to say, I'm not playing the game out there anymore as if my good is coming to me. I now play the game that my good is already in me. How can I give it? How can I extend it? How can I express it? Because that is my only source of fulfillment now. I have to give to receive the joy that is already in me. So let's go to sentence number 2 in paragraph 4. You are as God created you. All else but this one thing is folly to believe. Don't believe the rest, because it's not true. In this one thought is everyone set free, because if I'm the son of God, if I'm the daughter of God, so are you. And in the recognition that Ken was the son of God, is the son of God, and he's playing the game as if his good, his worth comes from the outside, and I am playing the game knowing now that it comes from the inside, we couldn't play together anymore. We were playing different games. So that is what completed that relationship. You know, it's like he was playing Monopoly and I was playing, tic-tac-toe. It couldn't work. It was not compatible anymore. Energetically, the game of tic-tac-toe is different than the game of Monopoly. So it made sense that we couldn't do that. So in this one thought is everyone set free. In this one truth are all illusions gone. I am the daughter of God. So as the daughter of God, I'm only going to listen to my father. I'm only going to listen to my mother. And that is the creative father and mother. It is not the human father and mother that are unconscious. I am consciously listening to the source that tells me of my wholeness, reminds me of my wholeness, so that I can give it to receive it. Because I'm not playing the game of taking. It is not necessary for me to play that game. So paragraph 6, in this one fact is sinlessness proclaimed to be forever part of everything, the central core of its existence and its guarantee of immortality. Ken is innocent. Ken is innocent of ever being anything than how God created him. He is just playing a game that is no longer interesting to me. So his innocence has been proclaimed. He is immortal forevermore. He is going to have a death experience, exit stage left, just as I will. We're both going to leave the playground, and at some point, when we are in our soul essence, when we are in our non-physical essence, we're going to say, whoa, wasn't that fun? How cool is that? I came in to play the game that bumped you further into the game of awakening, and I had to play the game of going further down into the game of sleeping. So he gave me a gift. So not only are we playing different games inside of the human game, the human amusement park, but we're also playing a game inside of the divine playground that we're in, and we're just playing the game. I'm playing it with aware that I'm playing a game, and he's playing it however he's playing it. Isn't this fun to know that at the divine level, this is pure hide and seek, divine hide and seek. We come in, have a human experience, hide our truth, and then seek for it outside of ourselves because it's fun, and then we play the game to find it within ourselves because it is fun. At the end of the day, it does not affect our immortal self. At the end of the day, it does not change how God created us. It just alters our experience while we are in physical form. That is what we're waking up to, that we can have a physical experience that is a lot more fun, that is a lot more enjoyable for ourselves and others. We could literally free the whole world from feeling bondage of our need to control, our need to judge. If we free everybody, we free ourselves too, to play the game with in a fun and easy way, in giving love and receiving love. We are doing that. More and more of us are awakening so that eventually we will have world peace on a global level, because it's not sustainable to continue to be asleep. When enough of us have tipped the consciousness of the planet, and it's moving in that direction, because light is more powerful than darkness, love is more powerful than fear. As more of us begin to not need things from the world, to unplug from the corporate chase, to unplug from needing the medical institution to heal us, and begin to come inside and know that our healing comes by knowing truth, that our worth comes from knowing who we are going to change the game of humanity forever. And what few remain playing that game, it won't really affect the rest of us, because when enough of us stop plugging in from buying things to make us happy, guess what? The corporate game is going to end. It has to. It's going to collapse on its own, because unless it is done as a fun, fair way of trading, we're giving and receiving our one, this need to try and take from some is going to not be sustainable. It could be, quite a few more generations, but we're moving in that direction. Why? Because we're all the holy sons of God, the holy daughters of God itself. All right, paragraph 5. But let today's idea find a place among your thoughts, and you have risen far above the world and all the worldly thoughts that hold it prisoner. When I don't need a job to be somebody, when I don't need money to be wealthy, when I don't need pills to make me healed, I am now freeing myself. I am rising above the world. I may be in it, but I am not of it. I now begin to unleash myself from being a prisoner to all of those things. When I don't need a person to complete me, I release everybody to be themselves. That is what's happening in my relationship with Dan. I don't need him to complete me. He doesn't have to give me money. I'm being taken care of because I allow God to inspire me, and my work is sharing what God is sharing with me. I give to receive. Sure, I get compensated financially when I sell my work, but not because I think I need it to be happy, but because I need the exchange, because in the world of form, I need a place to live. I'm paying rent or mortgage or whatever. I go to the grocery store and I buy food. I'm not growing it myself yet. I may at some point if I want to play the game that way. But for now, the world is not responsible for my happiness. Therefore, I'm no longer prisoner to it. And no one is prisoner to me, because nobody owes me anything as well, because I don't hold anybody accountable to fulfill my needs, just as I know I'm not accountable to fulfill anybody's. God did that for us, and I'm very clear about that. Sentence number 2 in paragraph 5. And from this place of safety and escape, you will return and set it free. So I've set the world free because I am free. What? It's pretty exciting to know that my safety lies because I'm in the mind of God, because God is imagining me. I am a thought in God's mind, and if God ceases to think about me, boom, I disappear. So while God is thinking about me, I want to think with God, because God will make everything that excites me come true. And it has. I see everything shifting. Now, it happens sometimes slowly, because in the world of time, things kind of get spread out. But oh my gosh, what fun it is to be free, to have set the world free, and to have set myself free to think with God. That's what I'm using my will, my free will, is to free myself from what I thought the world will give me, to willing with God, so that I can flow with inspiration, which makes my life fun and easy. Paragraph 3. For he who can accept his true identity is truly saved. I cannot stress the importance of letting yourself test this. Give yourself permission to say, I am the Holy Son of God itself. I am the Holy Daughter of God Himself. And feel, what does that feel like? Live your life, practice it, fake it till you make it. Until you begin to allow that to be your truth, you're going to continue to think that the world is where your power lies, and you'll be using your power to miscreate. That's all. But when you use your power to align with the Creator, oh my gosh, everything changes. Let me read this again. For he who can accept his true identity is truly saved. And his salvation is the gift he gives to everyone. In gratitude to him, to Source, to God, who pointed out the way to happiness that changed his whole perspective of the world. Paragraph 6. One holy thought like this, and you are free. You are the Holy Son of God Himself. And with this holy thought, you learn, and with this holy thought, you learn as well that you have freed the world. You have no need to use it cruelly, and then perceive the savage need in it. Once I no longer needed to continue to see Ken as a powerful person over me, I didn't need to be cruel to him anymore with my judgments. That ended. Once I stopped judging him, anything that he said, it didn't matter. I just had such compassion for him. I just saw him as an innocent child. If anything, I felt at first pity. It's like, oh my gosh, he has no clue what he's doing to himself. But then I saw him as a powerful creator creating that game. That's the way he wanted to play the game, because that's the game he was playing. And then everything began to change. I released him. He released me. So sentence number 4 says, you set it free of your imprisonment. You will not see a devastating image of yourself walking the world in terror, with the world twisting in agony because your fears have laid the mark of death upon its heart. Absolutely not. This world, I don't walk it in fear, which means if I don't fear the world, I am no longer the presence of fear. I am the presence of love, who now loves the world. Changes everything. So I'm contributing to the awakening of the planet by my loving the world, because that energy is powerful, powerful. It's a energy of creation. It's what God used. God created all of us because He loved us. We have been loved into existence. This planet is going to be loved into healing. Paragraph 7. Be glad today how very easily is hell undone. Growing up Catholic, I thought hell was out there somewhere and I was going to go there when I died. And realizing that there's no out there. It is all a projection from in here. God is in me, heaven is in me, hell is in me, based on my thinking. If my thinking is against God, it's hell. If my thinking is with God, aligned with God, it is heaven. So amazing. You need but tell yourself, I am the Holy Son of God Himself. I cannot suffer, cannot be in pain. I cannot suffer loss nor fail to do all that salvation asks. I know for Ken it was so weird when I was saying, I cannot suffer by not having money. It's not going to affect me. You are free to take it all. It's not necessary. You don't owe me a thing, because my worth comes from God. You just added to the experiences that I had, but not to my worth. That was already evident to me, because God had placed that worth in me, whole worth, my holy worthiness. So I saved Him from my judgments, and I was totally released. So I saved myself from all of that by choosing to believe the truth about me and about Him. Sentence number 5 in paragraph 7. And in that thought is everything you look on wholly changed. A miracle has lighted up all dark and ancient caverns where the rites of death echoed since time began. Those ancient caverns is the places in your mind, pockets of insanity, pockets of beliefs. These are the ideas, the filters, the belief systems that we have. And the reason the journey appears to take time is because we have to change our belief systems about everything, not just one or two things. It's everything. We got to choose again to see it differently, to release the world by seeing every time that we bump up against an irritation, that's an invitation to see our ego's thought system, which is always motivated by how can I chase for something outside of me to keep us off balance and not grounded and whole inside of where the truth resides. For time has lost its hold upon the world. Yeah, see, I know my eternalness, so I'm not trying to get rich before I die because there is no death for me. So I'm just giving and receiving, trusting that my needs are always met. Whenever I have them, the need is already met. Why? Because I am the holy daughter of God Himself. Paragraph 8, sentence number 3. The Son of God has come in glory to redeem the lost, to save the helpless, and to give the world the gift of His forgiveness. So Ken was lost inside of an illusion. So he was helpless because he wouldn't receive help. So he was left without help by his choosing. And I gave him the gift of my forgiveness. I forgave him. He knew not what he was doing. He was inside of the ego story. Why would I attack somebody who was sleeping? He didn't know that he was sleeping because he had not had the experiences that I had that let me taste what truth is and ground myself in truth. He had tasted truth. He had moments of realizations that he is one with Source, but he had not made that decision to be vigilant only for the kingdom, but I did. So when I became vigilant only for the kingdom, all I could do was forgive my holy brother because he was inside of his game while I was inside of mine. Who could see the world as dark and sinful when God's Son has come again at last to set it free? So as I freed him, I freed myself. But I could only free him because I freed myself first. So I was giving him the freedom that I had already received. Paragraph 9. You who perceive yourself as weak and frail, with futile hopes and devastated dreams, born but to die, to weep and suffer pain, hear this. All power is given unto you in earth and heaven. We have the power, have always had it because God placed it within us, to perceive ourselves as whole and complete as God created us, or to deny it. If we deny our wholeness, we're going to go outside and chase for it. To go outside, we have to project a world that has our wholeness so that we can go and get it. And when we assume that that is our source of wholeness, we attach ourselves to it, which imprisons us to it. And when it begins to move to act not loving, it's going to scare us because we decided that that's our source of safety. So of course, we suffer when things outside move. But things outside have to move. They have to, because if they don't know to be loving to us, they're going to be in survival and protection mode themselves. And if we are not playing the game the way they want us to play it, they're going to not be happy with us. And if we believe that they're our source of happiness and now they're not happy, we're going to suffer when they begin to pull the things away that they think they're giving us to make us happy. So it's crucial that we understand that we're using the power to create our suffering. It cannot happen any other way because there's no power outside of us. So sentence number 2 in paragraph 9 says, there is nothing that you cannot do. You play the game of death, of being helpless, pitifully tied to dissolution in a world which shows no mercy to you. We're playing the game of the world having the power to give us mercy. We can change that and play the game that God prefers for us to play, which is that all mercy comes to us from God. When we feel that mercy, now we begin to release the world. We shift how we're playing the game. Instead of the game of hide and seek, hiding my good out there and then go seeking it, we play the game of hide and seek, which is the recognition, wait a second. My good has always been inside of me. My denial of it hid it from me. It pushed it back. I couldn't see it because I thought my good was there. My light was there. So I pushed my light back. I couldn't see it. Now the journey is to seek inward, to seek in the only place where it can ever be found. Yet when you accord it mercy, will its mercy shine on you? So let me read this again. You play the game of death, of being helpless, pitifully tied to dissolution in a world which shows no mercy to you. Yet when you accord it mercy, have mercy on the world, will its mercy shine on you? Because when I begin to release the world, it's because the release is already happening in me. Giving and receiving are one. Paragraph 10. Then let the Son of God awaken from his sleep. Me. I got to awaken from my sleep and opening my holy eyes, return again to bless the world he made. So as I awaken and I open up my eyes and begin to see with the eyes of God, the vision, the holy vision of God, and I begin to see that the light in me begins to see that everything is light, pretending to not be. Now I can let everybody play the game however they want to play it. I meet them there. With some, I will play and be in relationship with. With some, I will play not being in an intimate relationship with. However, in relationship I am with all of it, because how can one ray of the sun be divided from another ray? It's impossible. If God is the sun, and every one of us is rays of the sun, and one is pointing in that direction and one is pointing in this direction, we're still in relationship because we're all part of the same one. We're all holy children of the same one source. But I am no longer moving with a ray that goes in that direction to be boyfriend, girlfriend. I'm moving with a ray that's moving in the same direction I'm moving with, because we have agreed to play the game this way. Dan and I have agreed to play the game of looking for blocks to the presence of the love that is within us. Ken and I played the game of looking for obstacles and making the obstacles, the fears, the thing that we were focusing on. Well, that's not going to lead to love. You both have to focus on love to lead to love. Because if one is focused on fear, they're moving in one direction. If one is focused on love, they're moving in another direction. If you're both not moving in the same direction, you're not playing the same game. So give it up. Release everybody, forgive everybody, and let everybody play the game how they want to. Why? Because we're all the holy children of God with the power to create the game how we want to play it. There is nobody in this world that is suffering without an awareness at some level that they're doing this for their own pleasure. And when I say that, I know it can sound harsh, but we are divine, non-physical beings. First, we have to remember that we're all powerful beings playing the game that we want to play to cause the awakening when we want to awaken. If somebody is not awake, it's because it's not their time. They have not set that time from a non-physical place to wake up there at that moment. They may be playing the game from a non-physical place to stay asleep so that it propels our awakening. We have to really truly understand that there are two things happening here. Really only one, but there appears to be two things happening. One, we're non-physical, divine, holy sons and daughters of God, playing in the physical realm. On the physical realm, we are helping each other wake up. So some stay asleep to force the awakening of others. The death of my mother, my mom, having the death experience began the process of my awakening. Ken, being grounded or feeling safe with money caused me to see that money was not my safety. So I have to honor that he's playing that game, that he would densify himself so that I could lighten myself. So I see him as my brother, my holy brother, helping me awaken even more. So how do I help him awaken? By putting more love onto the planet so that more people begin to feel this love, and eventually he will be called back into his truth. But it wasn't going to happen with us as a couple. It's going to happen with us in other ways. But me putting love onto the planet is what allows me to fulfill the purpose that God gave me, which is to be the light of the world. And as the light of the world, light, love, happiness, all of that is all one and the same. I am giving all of that so that I can receive it. It gets multiplied in me so that I can keep helping the planet. Paragraph 10, sentence 2. In error, it began. So let me read this again because this really goes together. So back to sentence 1 in paragraph 10. Then let the Son of God awaken from his sleep, and opening his holy eyes, return again to bless the world he made. So we go out there and bless the world once we wake up. In error, it began. The world began in error. I made a mistake that it had power there as opposed to the power was in me to create it. But it will end in the reflection of his holiness. My light is what I will eventually see because I see it more and more. And when I look for the light in others, I'm seeing it more and more and more. Sentence number 3, and he will sleep no more and dream of death. I have no fear of dying because of what I know is I am eternal. This is why I could stand for my son Spencer when he was going through his drug adventure, not afraid of his death by drugs because I was not talking to his body. I was not talking to his ego. I was focusing on his soul that was already eternal. From that place of talking to his soul, I was saying, do you really want to play the game of getting high and dying? Don't you want to play the game of you being powerful enough to give up drugs and then have an experience of being alive and being the light of the world for others? So I was talking to his soul, not his ego. With Ken, at the same time, my ego was talking to his ego, please stop accusing me. So I had to come back and go, oh, let my soul talk to his soul. You know what? I'm not going to play the game like this anymore, so it's okay. You keep your money. It's all right if that's how you play in the game. So with Ken, I was going ego, soul, ego, soul. With Spencer, it was pretty much soul. So the results were different. Spencer and I came closer in playing this human game, and Ken and I went further apart in playing the human game because we had different games we wanted to play. Sentence number 4, then join with me today. Join with Jesus today if you want to wake up. Your glory is the light that saves the world. I know I am the holy child of God, and I am owning that. That is my glory. It is my birthright. It is what I am. Why would I not want to be all that I am? And this is where the journey moves us from being ignorant about the truth of who we are to becoming arrogant and be prideful. And my ego got all prideful at one time. I was spiritually superior. And then Ken helped me actually see that. So as I began to undo that spiritual superiorness, I became humble enough to know my glory. But I could only know my glory by giving it, because that's how I received it. So I had to see it in him and lovingly just bow down to that powerful being creating the game the way he wanted to play it. Do not withhold salvation longer. Look about the world and see the suffering there. Yes, the world appears to be suffering. Is not your heart willing to bring your weary brothers rest? Do you not want to help other people stop suffering? Then stop judging them, stop accusing them, and more importantly, stop helping them believe that they have power over you. Stop playing that game. They are not your source. They are not your safety. They are not your happiness. They are not your money. They are not your wealth. They are not your health. Nothing outside of you can have that. If you make them believe that they are, you're contributing to the suffering of the world, because you're validating the illusion. So is not your heart willing to bring your weary brothers rest? They must await your own release. So Ken, playing his game, his soul was waiting his release from me. And I, at a soul level, had already agreed, I am going to release you, because that's the way the game is unfolding. So I see what is happening as what I'd already agreed to do. So I had to release him, forgive him. He didn't know in his sleep what he was doing, but at a soul level, he knows what he is doing. So I blessed him, I thanked him for playing that role, and we moved on to play different games. He went off to play on a different stage, and I went off to play on a different stage. It's okay, because this whole world is filled with stages. Sentence number 2 in paragraph 11. They stay in chains till you are free. I had to free myself. Otherwise, Ken was in a chain to me. It's amazing, amazing what happens when we accept our power and we set others free. They cannot see the mercy of the world until you find it in yourself. How could Spencer know that he was the source of love until I began to be that? When I freed myself from fearing that my son could die because of drugs, something that is made up in the world, until I began to be grounded in that love, he couldn't feel my love enough to activate, because we're all made of energy. The resonance of that pure love in me that needed nothing from him is the love that he was able to feel to give him permission to stop using drugs to fulfill his awareness of his truth. It began to register, the truth began to register with him when he would feel I knew his truth. And even if he couldn't sustain it after that, he felt it long enough to begin the process of going on his journey to discover himself. And this young man at 21 is exactly on the path of awakening that I was once on. He now will ask me questions because he knows I've been there, done that. I don't know his path. His path is different than mine, but the path is still the same. We are remembering that the truth is inside of us and always has been there, so I'm helping him look for it on the inside, by sharing how I found it on the inside. Paragraph 11, sentence number 4. They suffer pain. This is our brothers and sisters. They suffer pain until you have denied its hold on you. They die till you accept your own eternal life. You are the Holy Son of God himself. When I let Spencer know I'm not afraid of your death because I'm not afraid of mine, that began to activate some things in him that he had to question. I freed him from being responsible for my suffering if he died. That's love. That is love that sets all beings free from responsibility to another. From responsibility of that conditional love that you kill yourself, then it's going to create the condition that I'm going to suffer. When we can begin to give that unconditional love, it sets every being free. Remember this, and all the world is free. Remember this, and earth and heaven are one. Because in your mind is heaven and hell. When you clean your mind of what is not love, you create heaven in your mind, and you walk as the presence of heaven on earth. That is how we create a new earth. I am the holy daughter of God itself. I am the holy daughter of God, him or herself, him and herself. And so are you.